Okay, so we're up to the last part of linear equations, which is using the linear equations to actually solve problems. Excuse me. So what we've got is 5 steps, and some of the steps are easy, and we'll see how we go. So the first step is you need to define what you're trying to find using a pronumeral. So a pronumeral is just a letter. So you need to look at what you're trying to find. The second part is the hardest part, which is forming the equation, because once you've got the equation, you've already got the skills to solve the equation, which is step 3. Step 4, you need to check that the solution actually works in the original question, and then the last part is the easy part. Just answer the question with a word sentence. So if you start with the word problem, finish with a word sentence. So copy that, and when you're ready, come across. Okay, so I've got a hint. Okay, so often as not, there's more than one thing that we're trying to find, and it's sometimes easier to identify what the smaller thing is. Okay, if there's more than one thing, identify what the smallest thing is, and then from then on, for the other things, you're going to be adding numbers rather than subtracting numbers. You can make anything the letter, but if you look for the smaller, then you're adding rather than subtracting. Okay, and it could be more. It could be a second thing, or it could be more than 2 things. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so what we've got is I've just broken up into different topics, and this isn't comprehensive, but this is what you could have. Excuse me. You've got geometry, you've got numbers, you've got value, and when I'm talking about value, I'm talking about questions involving money, and then you've got ages of people. Okay, so copy those down, and when you're ready, come across. So what we're going to do is we'll do examples on all of them. Just for the geometry one, I'm going to give you a couple of examples, but for the other ones, I'll just give you one example. Okay, so in this particular question, sometimes a diagram might help you. So an isosceles triangle has 2 sides the same, and these angles down here are called the base angles, and this one here is called the vertex angle or the vertical angle. Okay, so in this question here, the isosceles triangle has a vertical angle that's 20 degrees more than the base. So that means that the base is the smallest angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say let x be the base angle. Okay, and then what we've got is the vertical angle is 20 degrees more. Okay. Now, there is x plus 20, and that angle is x, and you need to know that the other side, the other base angle is also x because it's an isosceles triangle. Now we need to say, what's the equation going to be? Well, one base plus the other base plus the vertical is equal to 180 degrees because it's a triangle. So x plus x plus x is 3x. Now what I'll do is I'll take that 20 across the other side by doing a reverse operation. So 180 minus 20 is 160, and x equals 160 divided by 3. And unfortunately, it's not a whole number, but the answer is 53 1/3 degrees. And have I answered the question? No, because it says find all the angles. So that's the base angle. The vertical angle is 20 degrees more. So the vertical angle will be 73 1/3. Okay, so now I can check all those answers. So if I've got 53 1/3 plus, so this is the check, 53 1/3 plus 53 1/3 plus 73 1/3. If you put that in the calculator, you get 180 degrees. And so to finish it off, finally, the base angles, plural, are 53 1/3 degrees, and the vertical angle is 73 1/3 degrees. Okay, so we define what we're trying to find. go for the smaller because then we add. The next part is the hard part, forming an equation. Okay, then solving the equation is the easy part. Checking the answer, and then finishing off with a sentence or sentences. Okay, so copy, and then when you're ready, come across. Okay, so next question in geometry, we have a rectangle. And so that side equals that, and that side equals that. That's what a rectangle looks like. Okay, so the rectangle is 5 centimeters more than the width. So the length is more. So what I'm going to say is the width is smaller. So let x be the width. And therefore, this is 5 centimeters more. So x plus 5 is the length. So again, I'm looking at the smaller thing. The length is more than the width, so the width is smaller. So let x be the width. And what we do is we can say, well, that's x, and that's x, so they're both widths. And then that's x plus 5, and then that's x plus 5. And now I form the equation. So I've got a length plus a width. Well, I'm just adding up. Plus x plus 5. And that answer is 33 centimeters. So previously we had to use geometry, 180 degrees, which wasn't told to you, but here the rectangle has a perimeter of 33. And so x plus x plus x plus x is 4x. 5 plus 5 is 10, equals 33. This is yep. So take the 10 across by subtracting, and so we've got 23, and so x equals 23 on 4. 5 4s are 20, so it's 5 3/4, and the units are in centimetres. And so the question's asking us for the area. Okay, so x is the width. So the length will be 5 centimetres more, so that'll be 10 3/4 centimetres. To do our check, if we have 2 lots of 5 3/4, and I add 2 lots of 10 3/4, and I put that on my calculator, I will get 33 centimetres. But the answer to the question, area, equals length times width. So I've got 5 3/4 times 10 3/4, and I'll get my calculator out. So when I put that on my calculator, I get 61 13/16 centimetres squared. Okay, so I've answered the question. So what I've done is I've defined the pronumeral, I formed the equation, I solved the equation, I checked my answer, and then I answer the question. So the area equals 61 13/16. Okay, copy and come across when you're ready. Okay, so now we're looking at number problems, and I'll just give you one example for each of these next ones. Okay, so I've got the word consecutive, which means one after the other. So 1, 2, 3, they're consecutive numbers. 3, 4, 5, they're consecutive numbers. But in this particular case, I've got consecutive even. So 2, 4, 6, 6, 8, 10. So e.g., 4, 6, 8 are 3 consecutive numbers, and they're even. So what's the smallest number? Well, we don't know. So we'll say, let the smallest even number be x, the middle even number will be 2 more, and the last even number will be x plus 4, because they're going up in 2s. So it starts with 4 or 6, whatever, but it's going to go up in 2s. So I've defined the pronumerals. Now I have to form the equation. So the first number plus the second number plus the third number is equal to, is as the clue is equals, 132. So x plus x is 3x. 2 plus 4 is 6, equals 132. Again, do the opposite. Plus 6 becomes minus 6. So 3x equals 126. And divide by 3 equals 42. So the question's asking us find the largest number. So the largest number is x plus 4. So it's 42 plus 4 equals 46. So again, if I can check, if 42 is the first number, then 44 is the next number, and 46 is the largest number, and when you add those numbers up, you get 132. Okay, copy and come across when you're ready. Okay, so now we're looking at money questions. So apples cost 13 cents. Well, I don't think they do, but anyway. And oranges cost 11 cents. I buy 5 more apples than oranges. How many apples did I buy? So I'm looking for numbers of fruits. Okay, so I buy 5 more apples than oranges. So that means that oranges, I buy less oranges than apples because I buy 5 more apples. So I'm going to say, let the number of oranges be x, therefore the number of apples is 5 more, because it says 5 more apples. So whatever the oranges are, I have 5 more. Now, the equation is got to do with the money. So each of the oranges costs 11 cents, and then I have each of the apples costs 13 cents, and my total bill is 233 cents. Okay, so if I'm dealing in cents here and here, I've got to have this number in cents. Okay, so x times 11 is just 11x. X times 13 is 13x. 5 times 13 is 65, equals 233. 11 plus 13 is 24x. And then take the 65 across to the other side. And get my calculator out. 233 minus 65 equals 168. Change colours. And so x equals 168 divided by 24. And you get 7. So the question is, how many apples did I buy? And apples is x plus 5. So therefore, I bought 7 oranges, not the answer I want, and I bought 5 more apples, which is 12. Let's have a look at the check. 7 times 11 plus 12 times 13. If you put that on your calculator, you get 233. And that's the check. Okay, copy and come across when you're ready. And we're looking at the last one, which is age problems. Sometimes these are the harder ones. So John is older than Mary, so Mary is the youngest person. So let Mary's age be x, and this is now. Okay? Therefore, John's age is 5 years more. So that's now. Okay. Now, the harder part is getting the equation. In 7 years' time, if Mary is x, in 7 years' time, that's Mary. And don't write this down till you see how I'm going to set it out. In 5 years' time, That's John. Okay, so John is x plus 5, and in 7 years' time he will be that. But it says they're not equal to each other, because it says in 7 years' time, Mary will be 3/4 John. So, have a look. So there's Mary is 3/4 John. Okay? Now, x plus 7 is just x plus 7. 3/4 times x is 3/4 x. 5 plus 7 is 12, and 3/4 of 12, 3/4 times 12 equals 9. Now, got x's on both sides, so take the x's one way, and then the numbers have to go the opposite way. So when you have x and you're going to subtract 3/4 of an x, you get 1/4 of an x, and 7 subtracted from 9 equals 2. And then to get rid of the quarter, you multiply both sides by 4, and so x equals 8. And have I answered the question? No, because it says, how old are they both now? So therefore, Mary is 8 years old. John is 5 years older, so he's 13 years old. And how do you check? Well, obviously they have a 5-year gap, but let's just check what's happening in 7 years' time. So this is the check. In 7 years, Mary is 15. John, in 7 years' time, will be 20. And 15 equals 3/4 of 20. So there's your check. Okay, copy that down when you're ready to come across. So in the textbook, we've got exercise 4D. It doesn't break it up into topics. This worksheet has broken up into topics. So if you want to start with that one, do that one first, and then, so do this one first, and then do the textbook second. Okay, thanks, bye.